Okay. Hey.
Hey, everybody. This is Lisa,
And Faith.
and you're listening to Vet on This or That
Or that.
podcast.
All right. So this podcast is just a potpourri of shit. Okay. So not we're not gonna be talking shit, nor are we full of shit. It's
Right.
just stuff that we've gone through in life, having transitioning from being in the military all the way into coming back into civilian world. So that's the type of shit that we're talking about today. So
Today.
yeah,
Yeah.
so today's topic is pretty good. What we talking about today, Lisa?
We're talking about transitioning. And
Ooh,
and
the
and
transition.
listen, that right there is another touchy topic. At least for
Yes.
me it is. At least for me. I looked up the word transitioning just for this purpose.
Okay.
Because I know what it means to me, but I wanted to get the full definition, and it actually means a
Absolutely.
change from one thing to the next, either
Hmm.
in action or state of being. Transition is
Hmm.
a change from one thing to the next, either in action or state of being. And
Hmm.
so for
So
me,
yeah, let's talk
so
about
yes,
you.
so for me, um, this transitional phase of our, I guess you want to say, deployment and our
Yeah.
demobilization and mob, all
Hmm.
that stuff.
Hmm.
For me, it is very, very easy for me to transition from
Hmm.
Lisa to Sergeant Crutch.
Hmm.
I can do that really easily. No hesitation, no thought put in behind it or none of that. I'll put my uniform on and Lisa's out the window and boom, I'm in military mode and Sergeant Crutch is, in formation.
Wow.
That
Yeah.
that right there was a pretty simple process. I don't even know if it was really a process, it just was really simple and easy for me to transition that way.
Hmm.
The problem I had with transitioning is when I was time to come home. We were
Hmm.
coming back to the country. Um, hadn't lived in Iraq for such a long period of time. And the war we were in, actually, you guys didn't know this. Faith and I were actually in two wars together. We went there in one war. When we went to Iraq in '04, it was Operation Iraqi Freedom.
Yeah.
And while we were there, I don't know how long while we were there, months later, they changed it
Hmm.
to Operation Enduring Freedom. So we were
Yeah.
actually in two wars. So
That's transition right there.
that's transition. I don't know if that's a transition because we didn't really know. We were, I was focused. I didn't know. I went to Iraqi freedom. I didn't find out it was enduring freedom till I don't even know when I found out. No, it's enduring freedom now. I'm like,
No,
what?
well, I think they slashed it. I think it was OEF OIF.
Yes,
I
they
think they
did
had
that.
slashed
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when I came back home, well, we both came home at the same time, but when we came back home, my transition from Sergeant Crutch to Lisa was, I don't even know if difficult is the right word. It was really, really challenging, really hard.
Mm.
And for me, at one point, it seemed impossible.
Okay.
It took me a long time to realize that I was back in the civilian world and
Hmm.
there was no place for Sergeant Crutch here. So
Oh wow. Wow.
I didn't know that I hadn't transitioned. I just,
Okay.
I never really, at one point,
Left.
I never really wasn't Sergeant Crutch when we came home. Like
Yeah.
I came home, I was still on, Iraq time. I came home, I was still on in high alert. Because remember, when we came home,
Mm.
we didn't get a really good demo. Like
Yeah.
they was like, okay, here's your shots, here's your DD 214, get going,
Uh-huh.
like get going.
Yo. Yeah.
And no one said, hey, if you have issues, you might want to go to the VA and check and see if you might have PTSD. Like I didn't even know what PTSD was
No.
or a TBI. And
No.
when I finally went to the VA, they told me I had PTSD, and they I think they did a pretty good job explaining it to me,
Hmm.
you know, enough that I could understand, I could process.
Yeah.
And me, I'm not I wasn't a crier then. I'm a crier, and I'll take task head on. Like, I
Hmm.
start something, I finish it. And so it was enough for me to process that I can say, okay, I got this, I have this PTSD thing. But
Yeah.
then they told me I had TB. This is what they said to me. And you also have TBI. And me, I'm already processing this
Yeah.
PTSD thing. And
Yeah.
then you tell me that I have, now mind you, in my mind, I'm fine.
Hmm.
Then you tell me on top of this
Hmm.
problem, you tell me I
Hmm.
have TBI. And so when it was said to me, it was said to me in a sense that I processed it as sexually transmitted disease. And so,
Wow.
I went cuckoo. You're a liar. I wasn't having no sex over there. My husband was over. I just went, like, I went bonkers. And
Yeah.
they still didn't really explain it to me in a way that I could process. Remember, I'm still trying to process all of the PTSD stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what, I guess they got sick of me and they just gave me a pamphlet. It's like, all right, bye. And
Oh
so,
wow.
I took the pamphlet, and like all other pamphlets, I took it, got home, and I put it on the counter. And I was telling,
Didn't think
my
nothing about
husband,
it after.
right? I was
Hmm.
telling my husband, and then I had all these doctor's appointments I needed to go to. And then they
Hmm.
explained to me that a traumatic brain injury is, XYZ. And I know how I got it from the accident.
Hmm.
My head hit the windshield.
Hmm.
Then I found out I can't, I already knew I couldn't smell, but I didn't know the extent of me not smelling. I just
Yeah.
figured because I was over there, I was smelling over there until an accident.
Hmm.
And then, I get here, I can't smell. And I find out,
Yeah.
all this other stuff that my olfactory nerve got sheared off from the impact of my head hitting the windshield. That's why I can't smell.
Hmm.
Da, da, da. So
Mm.
while I'm here with all of this stuff, I'm still in
Okay.
Sergeant Crutch mode.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to transition. I
Yeah.
didn't know that I needed to because, like I said, going from Lisa to Sergeant Crutch, I didn't really. It wasn't a process. I put the
Hmm.
uniform on and boom, I'm in formation. But this right here was different.
Yeah.
I had been Sergeant Crutch for such a long time.
Hmm.
I was great at being Sergeant Crutch. I knew what
Yeah.
my job was. Nobody expected too much because I did my job and that's all I needed to do, keep my soldiers safe.
Absolutely.
And that transitioning, it took years. It took years. And I have to say this, that Wounded Warrior Project is the main reason why I'm able to sit and do podcasts and speaking engagements and things like
Hmm.
that because they helped me with my transition.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, I can't even thank them enough. They helped me through the transition,
Hmm.
because I didn't. It was so hard, Faith, and I don't know if
Mm.
I ever even told you guys. It was so difficult for me to try. I think, see, while I'm talking about it, I think the reason why it was so difficult for me
Hmm.
because I was trying to, once they explained to me that I needed to get back, do this transition, I was
Hmm.
so busy trying to go from Sergeant Crutch back to Lisa.
Yeah.
But that was the Lisa that went over to Iraq. The Lisa
Yeah.
that came back, who I was
Yes.
now,
Yes.
was not the same person. And I didn't know
Absolutely.
how. I didn't know how to be her. And then I was upset because I wanted to be the old Lisa, not realizing that
Mm.
this new Lisa, hence the
Mm.
word new, this
Hmm.
new Lisa was better, more
Hmm.
improved. Like I had grown so much and I had been through so much. So being,
Yeah.
you know, being in the place that we was and seeing and doing the things that there's no way that I would be able to come back and be that same person.
Absolutely. Like this
But
metamorphosis
yes,
of a
but
person.
I
Yeah.
wasn't I wasn't I wasn't ready to let go of Sergeant Crutch because,
Absolutely.
everybody knew what Sergeant Crutch's job was. I knew what Sergeant Crutch's job was. But when I get to the civilian world, I'm back at
Hmm.
trying to be Lisa and everybody expects so much from me.
Hmm.
And I don't trust people. It was just difficult. So my transition, like I said, was not a good one. It took years,
Wow.
and when I say it took years, we came home in 2005. We left in 2004. We came home in 2005, and I wasn't able to actually feel comfortable with being this new Lisa, at least
Mm.
until I want to say 2013. 13, 14, maybe even 15.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
I think we're still transitioning. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
even
we
after
are
being
still,
here, after
I
being
want to
home
say
20 years later.
yes, still evolving,
Yeah.
still evolving. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely
that's
evolving, not
my
transitioning. Yeah.
that's my transition story. It's a whole
Yeah.
lot more to it, but that it was difficult for me. So I don't really know how it was for you. I just assumed it was hard for everybody because it was
Mm.
so hard for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as far as us coming back home and everything, and we all came back home at the same time, you, myself, we all came back home. Actually, we were on the plane together, right? When we
We're
came
on the
back
plane
home.
together. Did we
We
sit
was
next
on
to
the
each
plane
other?
together. I don't know. I can't
I don't
remember.
remember. I know
Yeah, I
that's
don't
the
remember.
TBI. I can't
I know we,
remember.
yeah, no, that's not TBI. That's just, you know.
That's sometime that's sometime. Sometimes you remember, sometimes you don't.
Sometimes remember, sometimes I remember, sometimes I don't. But I know we were on the plane together. I remember
Yes.
we was on the plane together. So yeah, coming home, my for me, transitioning for me was more so I don't know how to really pinpoint it, but I was not comfortable being a civilian anymore.
Absolutely.
I was more into like everything was dress right dress. Everything was get up at this time. Everything was move at this time. Everything was
Yes.
that's what it was for me. And you know, I was never an organized person. I'm still not. I'm still not to this day. You're
I
still not
can vouch
organized.
for that.
Oh girl, bye. I'll put my business out there now. Come on.
This is
I'm not an
coming
organized person.
this is
This
coming from a person who has OCD.
I
He was
thank
not
God for that.
organized.
I need a little bit of OCD in my life. I'm gonna promise you that I'm gonna need a little bit of OCD in my life. I think can you transmit that? Can it be transmitted anyway? But I am not in that term in terms of that. I am not an organized person. I am organized chaos,
Yes,
but I'm not
absolutely.
OCD. Okay, you put it. It has to be. I'm an open concept type person. It has to be in plain sight for me to see and for me to say, okay, that's where it is. That's where it is. Once I put it away, it's a wrap. It doesn't exist anymore. I promise you, I bought two of the same skirts because I thought I didn't have it. But that's not even my story of my transition. My my thing as far as organization is like I said, it has to be a dress right dress type situation. Like there has to be an order to what things have to do. I can attest to this as far as my job is concerned. When I'm working with my team, it has to be like this. It has to go like this. It has to go like this. It has to go like this. So I'm more of I think a chronological type order as opposed
Okay.
to a neat package type order. I still don't like I don't like timed chaos. I don't like, we got to be there at this time and I'm trying to get dressed and ready and whatever. I don't like that. I don't like
Right.
that, or whatever, even though I promise you I run late from time to time. That's another story. But but transitioning back into civilian world, it was like I would see people walking and I'm just like, why are they walking like that? Why aren't they, walking in a timed beat? Why
Why
are
they
they doing
why they
where's the
walking in
cadence?
cadence?
Where's the cadence? Where's the cadence? There's no cadence. And that's how I felt. Yeah, that's how I felt. Where's the cadence? And that's what my life was like.
Yeah.
And even the fact of people like coming to me and they found out that I was away and they would say, oh, thank you, I didn't know how to respond to that. I'm like, why are you thanking me? What are you thanking me for?
Isn't that
I went out there, I did a job, I came home.
Isn't isn't
What are you
isn't
thanking me
that
for?
weird? Isn't it weird
Still
because
to this day, to
yeah,
this day.
because people will when I go to speaking engagements or whatever, they find out that I'm a disabled veteran. They
Mm,
always say, thank you for your service. And I
mm,
try to muster up to say you're welcome, but I don't really know. It puts me in an awkward place. Like I don't know
mm-hmm,
what to say. Like I want to be polite and be like, thank you, but
mm-hmm,
I try to tell people you're thanking me for my service. And the reason why I can't receive that wholeheartedly is because
mm.
you're
It was my
thanking me,
job.
right? You're thanking me for something out. That was my job. I got paid
Yeah, I
to do that.
volunteered for
Yeah,
this.
I
I signed
exactly.
up.
And and
Yeah,
and and,
yeah.
and that's another thing because they're quick to call you, which I'm not saying you don't do it, but You do
Hmm.
what you want to do, but people are quick to say, "Oh, that's my hero. You guys are heroes for going out to war." No,
I
we're not.
can't.
We
I
got
can't absorb
paid.
that. I
No,
can't
we
absorb
got
that.
paid
No.
to do a
Yes.
job, and our
Yes.
job happens to be the freedom of the United States of America.
There you go.
That's our
There you
job,
go.
and
Nutshell.
we volunteered for that. No one
Yes.
put a gun to our
Yeah.
head. We volunteered. So just for you guys to know, it's not we're not ungrateful. Don't ever look at it that way
Absolutely
because
not.
that's far
Absolutely
from the
not.
truth. It's just it's hard for some of us to um, absorb the thank you for your service
Yes.
and you're a hero type of thing
Yes. All I can
because
say back is thank you.
it's thank
Like
you.
when they say thank you to me, I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
oh,
thank
thank
you.
you.
And then it
And I'm
doesn't
like,
even
I
feel
gotta walk away from
genuine.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it feels when they say that to me and I say thank you, it doesn't feel genuine, even though I mean it genuinely.
Mm,
It for to me it doesn't feel genuine because I'm
yeah.
saying thank you for something. I got a check to do that. I got paid to do
Yeah.
that. And when
Yeah.
we raised our right hand, you know, in that MEP station, we knew
Hmm.
what we were getting ourselves into.
Yep. Yep.
So,
Yep.
not that you guys can't say thank you for your service and all that, because for some people, they live for those moments.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I happen not to be one of those people, but
Mm-hmm.
if you said it to me, I'm gonna, as much as I can, genuinely, I try my best to say, thank you. But for
Mm-hmm.
me, it doesn't feel genuine
Yeah.
because, like, I don't want you guys to thank me for something. I was getting a check to do that. Like, we got paid to
That
be.
too, yeah. That on the other side, and you know what it is. I think at some point they think that we feel guilty, like if we're like survivor's guilt or something like that. But it wasn't even that. It wasn't even that.
Mm,
Oh, I came back and somebody else did it, and I don't feel like I deserve the thank you or anything like that. It wasn't by no means survivor's guilt. It for me, it was just I volunteered for a job and I did it.
yes.
And thank you for acknowledging it. Thank you
Thank you.
for, thank
Yes.
you for seeing what I did.
Right.
But to receive it is one thing. I guess the processing of, why are you thanking me was just the other
Yes.
half of everything.
Yes.
Yeah. So transition for me coming back into civilian world was like, oh gosh. Yeah, like
It was
the
scary.
time. It was scary.
It was
Like,
scary.
waking up,
It was
um, you
definitely
know,
scary.
looking for a job, um, you know,
I didn't
you
have to do
know,
that.
yeah, well, I know. Well, actually, did you? Did you go back to work when you
Yeah,
came?
well, when I came back from Iraq, because I worked for the city of New York,
Mm,
we were once we came back and we were off orders, which was
mm-hmm.
May of '05. We were
Yeah.
actually off orders. I had 3 months. You have 3 months that you can stay home and get your life back together, I guess, before you go back to work. So I had
Mm-hmm.
3 months. So I didn't have
Mm-hmm.
to go back to work until August. But at this time, I was seeing psychiatrists and psychologists
Mm.
and going to what do you call that, anger management. I was seeing that. So when it was time for me to go back, when my 3 months was over, time for me to
Mm-hmm.
go back to work,
Mm-hmm.
the VA had put in on my paperwork, my medical paperwork, that I couldn't stand for long periods of time.
Mm.
I couldn't sit for long periods of time. Mind you, I work for New York City Transit. I am a bus operator. I drive a 40-foot bus for a living. So when you
Yeah,
saying I can't sit for long periods of time, that's a problem. This is a
that is
civil
a problem.
service job. I took a test
Absolutely.
and they paid me a lot of money to drive that bus. So when
Absolutely.
you put in my paperwork that I can't sit for long periods, so transit had to regroup, and they actually kept me on for a while where I was doing some. I was getting paid a lot of money to honestly to do nothing. I didn't drive a
Mm-hmm.
bus. I hadn't driven a bus anymore when I came home from Iraq. I didn't drive a bus anymore, and I worked for up until I think June of 2006,
Yeah.
almost a year later, and they told me I had to either resign
Mm.
or they're going to fire me. Or, well, three
Ooh.
options. Or I needed to get back on the bus, and I couldn't get back on the bus.
Yeah, you
My
just finished
knees,
spending a whole year and change driving,
my
you know.
knees were
Mhm.
jacked up so bad, and I was,
Mm,
and my mental state was not a great one. And that's
mm.
a whole nother
Another stuff.
episode about
Yes,
the
we're
night
gonna touch on that.
terrors
We're
and
gonna touch
things
on
like
that.
that. Yeah.
We'll touch on
But
that. Yeah, another episode.
so yeah, so yeah. Shout out to New
Yeah.
York City Transit though. That was one of my best jobs I ever had. That was the easiest money I ever made.
Thank you, New York City Transit. I
And
don't know about that.
the hardest money I ever made was Sergeant Crutch in the United States Army because I worked my listen, shot at all day, every day, and shooting back every day.
Yeah.
That's some hard. I
You
worked
know,
hard for that check.
you know the thing that always tripped me up about the transitioning. Okay,
What?
so we had like all these E7s and we were top heavy. We had like
Yes,
E7s
yes.
out the wazoo
And when she says top heavy civilians, we're not talking about me.
boobies. We ain't
No,
talking
no, no,
about
no.
boobies.
We're not talking about me.
Sit yourself down.
We talking about
No, we're talking about rank.
sergeants
We're
of
talking
the
about
rank
rank.
above us.
Yes. So we had Lisa and I were E5s, right? So we were sergeants. We were just the bottom of the rung of the NCOs, right?
Right.
And then you had like E6,
Six, seven,
then
eight,
you had
nine.
E7, but yeah, we had all those, but we were very heavy with E7s. We
Majors.
had
Yeah.
we had a lot of E7s. That's the problem. We had so many leaders. Like they didn't
Oh,
know how to be
that's
followers.
that's why we said we had too many chiefs and not enough Indians.
Yeah, we
I
try not to
remember
use
now.
that phrase though, but yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. But I
yeah.
mean, that was a phrase that we used at
Sorry.
the time. Yes, yeah, yeah. No insult to anybody.
No, not
Honestly,
at all.
but yeah, but that's what it was. We had so many leaders and not enough followers. No followers because an E7 telling an E7 what to do was sacrilegious. You don't do that. You don't do that.
And we had
And
some trying to do that too, and it didn't
yeah,
go over well.
yeah, and in terms of transitioning back out, like you have those folks, they were so used to barking orders all the time that when they come back to civilian world, now they got to get orders barked at them in their civilian job. So that's just crazy. I didn't have that problem. Again, Elisa and I were E5, so we were at the bottom of the run. We were getting orders barked to us, and then we had to bark
All
orders to
day.
everybody else. But
Right.
it helped. I'll tell you this with the transition. Being an E5 helped with leadership skills and
Yes.
how to be a better leader because we had to be both leader and follower
And
at
follower.
the same time. At the same time. So it helped. It definitely helped in the transition of being, a leader in jobs in my position. Even I will say this, not all the time having put on my resume that I was I oversaw the day-to-day needs of lower enlisted soldiers,
Oh, okay.
that they took that seriously. Like they just figured, oh well, that doesn't really cross over into civilian world or whatever the case may be. I'm
It
like, are
does
you kidding
though.
me? Are you
It
kidding me?
absolutely does.
When you have to deal with brand new soldiers, okay, and you have to train them because your E6 and aboves didn't want to do none of that. They left it to you to train these soldiers to get them, dressed, to get them where they have to be, and in the right, frame of mind or whatever. You have to learn how to have a compassion because remember, we are once removed from lower enlisted. We are once removed,
Mm-hmm.
and so we still had that know-how, that understanding on how to be a good leader because we were able to speak to our soldiers and say, listen, I was just there not too long ago, so I understand where you're coming from. I understand how you feel. So you had that empathy. You're able to sympathize with
Yes.
them and say, listen, don't worry about this knucklehead NCO yelling at you because they don't know what they do. I'm gonna tell
And
you right now, they don't know what they're doing.
I thought I thought I took care of a lot of the E6,
Yeah.
the E7s.
Yeah.
They were
Oh
some
no.
nasty
Oh no.
people.
I'll tell you right now, they couldn't handle you. They
I
couldn't
had to
handle
take
you.
care. I had to take it. You know what? You know
Yes.
what? You know what I think I had over a lot of the E6s, E7s is
Mouth.
because
Mouth. A whole lot of mouth.
that might be true.
That
But
might be
I think what I had over all of them, well, a lot of them, was
true.
that this was honestly my part-time job. And I always seen it as my part-time job. Like
Yeah.
when I left there, like I was double dipping. I was getting paid from the military and a hazardous duty pay and from my
Mm.
my job for New York City Transit. So when I left there, I had a whole career job that was waiting for me that I just go right back into like I had never left. So I didn't
Yeah.
have a lot of the issues that they come to this war, to this military. Like a lot of them had to quit their jobs. A lot of them didn't even have a job, you know. And so
Mm.
when they got there, I think depending on how they were in the civilian world. That's why a lot of them came there with the nasty attitude, and they
Mm-hmm.
came there already like I outrank you, Sergeant Crutch, you know, just
Mm-hmm.
nasty attitude. Didn't know me from Adam, and I was like, listen,
Mm-hmm.
don't do that because first of all
Yeah.
we're in a hazardous dude like we're in a war. All of us
Yeah.
are walking around with weapons. What we gotta do is take it off the
Yeah.
safe and put it on semi. Stop walking around here because you outrank me
Exactly.
and gonna
But
talk to me and my soldiers any old kind of way because that's not how this is gonna. You can't do this.
absolutely.
We
And
have to
but
have.
it goes back to what I had said earlier is that, they came from a position where people were barking orders at them. Now they had a
Yes,
chance to bark orders at
and,
folks.
and
And
they
they,
took the opportunity. They took the opportunity,
yeah,
and so I felt it my duty. I felt it my duty to make sure I let them know. Listen, when we get back to Fort Bliss and we take these uniforms off, come talk to Lisa. You can say
oh,
whatever you want to. Come talk to me.
you talking about come talk. Hold on one second. Let's do
Do
a
we even have
sidebar.
time to go into
Yes,
another
we do. We got 2 minutes. We got 2 minutes. Let me give you a sidebar real quick. So young Lisa, right?
story?
Because she had mouth and a lot of it, right? And she would not take orders from these knuckleheads. Oh, but wait, what did they do? They called Sergeant K because Sergeant K had a little bit of years of rank over a few years of rank over Sergeant Lisa. Okay. Now,
And you know
mind
what
you, we're
her
both
favorite,
E5.
you know what her favorite line is? Because we both E5s.
We're both E5s, but I
You
have a couple
know,
of years on her.
you know what her favorite line was?
Tell her,
You know
you
I'll
know
rank
I'll
you.
rank you. But she couldn't get an E6 or an E7. No, I'm sorry, an E7 or E6 or E7 could not get her to listen. But you should bring old Sergeant K
Listen.
in.
All right, we all have some listeners on here that's military, and they gonna say, "What do
Oh,
you
no.
mean she didn't listen?" No, no, no.
No, I'm
First
not
of all,
listening. I'm sorry.
it's
I'm
not that
not
I
even
wasn't
listening.
listening to them. I listened to them, but when they would tell, this is my thing I would have with people
Why
in
are you
general.
yelling at her?
Yeah, people, things that I have a problem with people in general. Don't bark at me something for me to
Yeah,
do, to send my soldiers to do something that you would never ever do yourself. And I'm not going to tell my soldiers to do something that I wouldn't do. And they
yeah,
just be, yeah, they didn't know how to just talk to me. And they just
exactly.
assumed because I was from New York that I had this big mouth. No, I got a big mouth, one, because I'm from New York, two, because I'm the youngest of six
Absolutely.
children. And, you know, and I happen to
Absolutely.
have an M16 locked and loaded on my back. Yeah.
How about
So,
that?
so, so it wasn't
But
that I didn't. I followed orders. Don't get me wrong.
yeah. Oh
I
no, no,
followed
no, no,
orders.
no, no, no,
It's
no, no.
just,
She definitely followed
yeah.
orders, but
I just
you
didn't
needed
want
to
them
respect her as a soldier
right.
as well.
I didn't want them yelling at me, and I didn't want them doing it in front of my soldiers. And I, because you could yell at me, take me to the side, but I didn't want you to giving me orders to put my soldiers in danger, especially
Absolutely.
something that you definitely would not do. And you are
Absolutely.
only doing it because A, you didn't like me, or
Yes.
B, because you could.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
So when
that's
they
what that
called
was.
me, my favorite was when they called me and I would go over there and I would just whisper in her ear, I outrank.
Oh,
All I did was whisper that in
and,
her, I
and
outrank you.
all I could do, listen, it's the
Just
truth. And
lock it
all I
up.
could do is exactly and smile at
Lock
her
it up.
because she was the only one at that time in my life that I would listen to. Like it didn't matter
Absolutely.
who they were, if I thought they were wrong. And they knew it too because they would always
Yeah.
find her. They would go, hey, Sergeant Camaro, you need to go and talk to Sergeant Crutch.
And they would look and be like, "Well, what did you say to her?" I'm like, I talked to her. That's all I did.
Right.
All I did was talk to her. I didn't yell at
You
her.
didn't yell at
I
me.
didn't I didn't berate her or anything like that. Granted, we are the same rank. The only difference is that I just had a few more years than she did. That was the only
Y'all
difference.
notice how she keeps saying that, right? I just had a few
Yes,
more
because
years.
at the end of the day, boo, I outrank you.
That's the truth. That's outranked me.
Yes, yes.
but
So, mhm.
sidebar for me. I got paid more money than she did because she wasn't married and had no kids, and I had 4 kids and a husband. So cha-ching. Da, da, da,
Semantics,
da,
semantics.
da, da.
Man, minor details, minor details. But that's all right. You know, her kids are my kids anyway,
They
so
are.
they just say well.
Aren't they? That's right.
They just
Absolutely.
say well.
Well, not no more.
Oh yeah, well,
They grown.
well,
Not no
amen,
more.
amen.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Okay.
But yeah, so having spoken about transition and everything with this whole thing, I know we didn't get in the crux of everything, but there's so much more to our story than
It
just, these
is.
little tidbits that we're sharing with you for the next, 40, 45 minutes. But my takeaway for this, which is my no good and no better.
No good, no
No
better.
good, no better. Nice little transition. Don't you like that? So, but for my no good, no better segment. So, just understand that when you know good, you know better. When you do good for yourself, you do better for yourself. But if you don't do good for yourself, you can't do better for yourself. So, my
Mm.
takeaway for this transition for the topic of transitioning was that there are things that we have to break out of. So when Lisa brought up, speaking of the old her, and she could not transition from being the old Lisa, or accepting or moving from the old Lisa to the new Lisa. That's what butterflies do. Okay, it's a natural thing. It's a natural thing for butterflies to do, to transition from being a caterpillar to a butterfly.
Mm.
So we have to break out of old
You
ways,
better speak, girl.
right? That's all I'm saying. So we got to break out of old ways
Yes.
and come into new self to do gooder things, better
Gooder.
things, and gooder. Yeah, let's use that as the word of the day. Do gooder things
No
for
gooder, no
ourselves.
better.
Exactly. And to to excel in life, period. Because if you stay in where you were before, if you sit in where you were before, you're blocking the blessings of going into something better for
Absolutely.
yourself. you
Yes.
know there's so many things. I could go on and on about this, because
Yes.
transitioning is transitioning, and having to transition from being in the military to being a civilian did not stop us from excelling to places and positions that we wanted to be in later on in life.
Yes.
We may see
Yes.
this transition, or this being in this space right now, this space of in the military, as a hindrance, and trying to be that better person for, or that person for the civilian. But it's what we learned in the military that's what makes us this
Mm.
phenomenal group
Yes,
of women.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes,
So that's
ma'am.
my no good and no better for today.
Yes, ma'am. I love that no good, no better.
Oh, thank
So,
you, baby.
so you guys, if you guys been listening to us, this is our second episode, and after No Good, No Better, after she does that segment, I always do the quote of the day, and I always mention that the quote is either something that I just felt like saying, or sometimes I might have it to reference something that we spoke about, and I have one for this episode of transitioning. And the quote that and I had to apply this to my life, and I still apply it to my life daily, and I have to because it works for me. And it says, don't let yesterday take up too much of today. So I'm gonna say that again for y'all because I love this quote. Don't let yesterday take up too much of today.
Mm.
And I I love this because I have been doing this the whole time that I came home from Iraq. I was letting yesterday, the stuff that happened to me in Iraq, it was taking up my today. So
Mm.
I couldn't focus on the good things that were happening today because I
Mm.
was always looking back at the stuff that happened yesterday.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
consumed me. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it consumed me. And I think that's why my transitioning was so difficult, also. That's
Mm-hmm.
another reason. But it
Yeah.
consumed me. And so I found this quote a while ago, and I always say it to myself because, like I said, it works for me. And
Mm-hmm.
don't let yesterday take up too much of today. And I'm
Oh.
gonna leave that with you. This is gonna be, you know what? That would be a great thumbnail too. But okay. Don't let yesterday take up too much of today. See, the wheels are going. So we're gonna get on out of here, and we thank you guys so much for listening.
Thank
And
you.
we will see you next time when
Next
we bet
time.
on this or that.
Or that.
Thank you guys.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
you.
Enjoy your week. Bye.
Bye.